What the? Oh my God!
In this corner, weighing in at, I don't know, Sweet Charbonneau. And in this corner, with carne weighing 245 pounds, the defending champion, Taco Tuesday.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have another edition of wrestling here for you tonight. Taco Tuesday, the defending champion with a record career of 10 million, it doesn't matter. He's got quite the resume under his belt as he takes on Sweet Charbonneau, this newcomer that we have no idea what the hell he is about, but he's got Freddie Mercury on his side, and that's got to count for something. So Sweet Charbonneau against Taco Tuesday. Sweet Charbonneau doesn't look too impressed about Taco Tuesday, but Taco Tuesday is the defending champ. That's got to impress you, young man. And here he is with Freddie Mercury getting some sort of advice. And Taco Tuesday holding up the title there, saying that he is the man, but the young kid, Sweet Charbonneau, getting fired up, as well as his manager, Freddie Mercury, as he dances outside on his corner, his cut man, his posse. That is Freddie Mercury.
Doctor out there, we've got these two combatants, these two titans, these two colossus going at it here tonight in the wrestling ring.
And ladies and gentlemen, nice tug motion from Sweet Charbonneau, but is that going to get you through this match, kid? We're about to find out as the defending champion, Taco Tuesday, holds his title in the air. Referee is in the ring. We're about to get this one underway. And who are those nice mamacitas out here on ringside?
Okay, the extra chubby.
They're all extra chubby.
Okay, that one right there, that's my man.
No.
Charbonneau's all kinds of fired up tonight.
No, that's my money.
Look at Taco Tuesday getting ready, warmed up for his match. And maybe something else. I'm not quite sure by the looks of these ladies on the outside. But Taco Tuesday getting ready for this match against Sweet Charbonneau.
My money, babies.
Referee getting ready to call this one down the middle.
No hitting below the belt. Now shake hands. Let's call this a clean match, okay?
And a blatant disrespect from Taco Tuesday as he refuses to shake the hand of Sweet Charbonneau. The bell has rung, and here we go. Collar elbow tie-up. Charbonneau jaw-jacking a little bit on the big Taco Tuesday man as the referee looks on, and a kick to the midsection to Sweet Charbonneau. Don't forget about those glasses, fellas. You don't want to miss those. He's got to see. And here we go. Taco Tuesday sizing up his opponent as Sweet Charbonneau doesn't know what to make of this, but we are going back and forth.
Taco Tuesday's got his ass in a lock. It looks like a camel clutch. And is Sweet Charbonneau going to give up?
Hey, Freddie Mercury, how are you doing tonight?
Folding chair to the small of his back. Oh, that's gotta hurt me, Gene.
And a big chop, reminiscent of Wahoo McDaniels, as Freddie Mercury looks on and is very pleased what his man can do. Taco Tuesday firing back. Freddie Mercury is out there on the corner, and he is dancing. And a big chop, woo, to Taco Tuesday, knocking him down. And Freddie Mercury dances on. And here we go with a pinfall. 1, 2, this is it. Oh my goodness, just 2 as Taco Tuesday kicks out as Freddie Mercury dances on.
Oh, he's got his nuts in the ringer now.
We have for you. Oh no, a Boston Crab. Freddie Mercury, you keep on dancing as the action is in the ring with a big Boston Crab. Taco Tuesday, he's got him in that hold. Sweet Charbonneau, he is in bad pain, crying for his mama.
He's gonna split his ass.
In the arena as Freddie Mercury keeps.
Taco Tuesday's going for a flip. Oh no, he doesn't. He gets cut off right by Sweet Charbonneau.
And a big low blow by Taco Tuesday to Sweet Charbonneau. Referee doesn't know what's going on. He's questioning Taco Tuesday as to what happened. And a big leg drop down on Sweet Charbonneau. Freddie Mercury, I wouldn't be dancing too much there, buddy, as your man is down. And here we go. Uh-oh, the title. He hits Freddie Mercury as Freddie Mercury falls to the outside. The people are freaking out.
Not type 2 diabetes, not this time.
Headlock here applied. Look at the amount of pressure that Taco Tuesday holds as Sweet Charbonneau goes out. He is asleep, and the referee's going to check. 1, ladies and gentlemen. 2, If Sweet Charbonneau's not able to keep his hand up on the count of 3, it could be all over. Oh my God, he's alive! He's alive! Sweet Charbonneau, get up, snap your hand down, and he is back on his feet. The crowd is going wild. Irish whip into the corner. Big clothesline by the big man, Sweet Charbonneau, as he goes over for the 3 count. He hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3, and get it! Sweet Charbonneau wins. He's going to the main event. He has defeated Taco Tuesday as Freddie Mercury dances on.
Looking all fine and shit. I want to lick you down. Is that chili? I like the onions you got going on right there. Nah, baby, it's all right. I'm gonna eat you all night.
What is the referee doing out here? He's getting some Freddie Mercury on. He wants to break free, baby.
Frank Black makes a noise. Franklin Aretha.
Oh, very classy of the referee. Oh, look at the arm strength of Freddie Mercury returning the favor. The referee's a little shocked at this. Look at them.
All right, I'm gonna need 1 big bowl of M&Ms with the brown ones removed, 1 stick of butter,
Well,
1 tub of imitation.
when you find romance, you find it. It doesn't matter what it is.
Sweet Charbonneau wins it. Oh my goodness, he's going to the main event. Wow!
Next
Oh
match.
my. I don't think Sweet Charbonneau understands that he's got the main event is now, but oh my goodness, look at this guy. He's a big man. And Sweet Charbonneau, his eyes are, he's shocked. He doesn't know what to think. As this man points right at Sweet Charbonneau, letting him know that you're
Get
next,
the fuck
baby.
up.
You are next.
Simon says, get the fuck up, throw your hands in the sky. Weezer's in the back, sipping yak, yo, what's up? Girls, rub on your titties. Yeah, I said it, rub on your titties. New York City, pretty committee, pity the fool.
Oh,
that
yeah.
activity in the midst of the calm, the witty.
Made it. Episode 11. This is episode 11 of Fat Talk. We're your hosts, Frank Collazo, Chuck Hernandez. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Dude, that's
We're
did it.
through season 1.
we made it.
And we set out to put together a little podcast, and we did it, and we've had a lot of fun along the way.
Hell yeah.
And we're excited that those of you that are watching and tuning in are following us and supporting us. And I think we've learned a lot in season 1.
Heck yeah.
And I'm real excited that you were interested in taking this journey,
Hell
dude,
yeah, bro.
because
I feel great. I feel great, man. And both physically and mentally. You know,
That's
like,
good.
I've had
That's
a lot
good.
of fun doing this type of stuff too, man. It's a lot. It's a creative outlet. It's fun, man. I've had a good time.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of you, dude.
Thanks, man. I'm proud of you for doing it, and I'm thankful for you for doing it because you know it's tough. It's a tough road, but if you can find someone to talk to
Right.
about this, that, and the other, and
Right.
and navigate that journey, it's a little bit easier.
Tough
than
road,
if
that's
you're doing it
easier.
by yourself. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, hell yeah.
And so we're here at our final weigh-in for season 1.
Let's do it. Ready?
And yeah, go ahead, brother.
All right.
Engaging the XL 700.
I had a good week, so I'm
Good.
I'm
Awesome.
happy with my week.
Hell yeah.
My goal was 20, which I hit, so I'm trying to hit 25.
Good,
Let's see
good.
if I can do it here.
That's awesome, bro. Let's take a look.
246.6.
246.6.
That's 25, over 25.
Dude, that's awesome. Man, that's amazing,
That's
bro.
crazy, right?
That's awesome.
25 pounds.
That's good,
In
dude.
like, what, a little over 2 months?
Yeah, a
Man, that's
little over
great.
2 months. That's great, man. That's awesome.
And you know what? Following the tenets that you laid out,
Sure.
just trying to stick with changing my mindset, just trying to lose weight,
Yeah,
less about that, and
Yeah.
more about just changing my mentality,
Sure.
just making it a lifestyle.
yeah. That's awesome, bro.
Awesome.
That's a huge accomplishment, bro.
Yes, thank you.
That's a huge
Thank you.
accomplishment, especially with everything that you have to deal with and navigate through.
Right.
Any loss is good, but that's great. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm real proud of you.
Awesome, thank you.
And I want to say you probably lost as much weight as me, or about the same, which is more significant because the percentage to your body weight,
like,
you know.
Like 10% almost.
Yeah, that's great, dude. That's awesome.
That's great.
So,
Crazy.
all right.
Awesome. All right,
Let's see.
All right. Are you gonna strip down to your underwear?
Exactly.
Official weigh-in?
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Put my hand right in your butt,
Exactly.
your ass spot
Yeah.
on the couch, on the casting couch.
There we go. Don't put your face on that side of the
I'm
couch.
not going to. I'm gonna say 379, 378, 379. So let's say 379.0. It's like
Okay.
bouncing around.
Okay.
That sound good?
So 379.0 is, I don't know, what was our last week? I don't remember. Or
You're like 83 or
82 or
84,
83.
yeah, something like
82.
that. Yeah, awesome.
So a couple pounds.
Sweet, brother. Sweet.
You know,
What does that put you at about total for the?
I don't know, man. And
And you stop
that's
counting, like you don't give a shit.
well, it's not that I stopped counting. It's just that. So, I mean, yesterday, I made a chicken soup, chicken caldo, at about 11 o'clock at night, and I ate a real big bowl of it. and I was working on the podcast, and I realized I had to weigh in this morning.
Right.
So I know I would have done better, but the thing is one of the things that I've learned is, you know, is to not deny yourself
Right.
when you want something within reason,
Right.
right?
Right.
I didn't splurge on a chicken fried steak at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
I had chicken soup.
Right.
Which is not that bad. I mean, it's bad if you're weighing in the next morning.
Right,
you know,
right,
I mean,
right,
I just took on a bunch of liquid, a bunch of chicken,
Right,
a bunch of
right.
vegetables. But I'll take that
Right.
over what my choices used to be.
Right,
You know, and you know, it's you know, it's taking time to break the old habits. And I'll, you know, you know, the other day we went to or a couple of days ago we went to a friend's house. It was their birthday, and there was a piece of cake left over from my kids. Like we hadn't finished it, and it looked good. And I had a bite, and I tasted it. That's the first cake I've had like in 8 months.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, I didn't even eat birthday cake for myself, you know, in October, and I didn't feel bad about it because, you know, I've been exposed to other cakes in the last 8 months, but I haven't eaten any because it just felt like, okay, I don't need to have that.
Right.
A couple nights ago, I felt like I wanted to taste it, and I did. But versus what I used to do, or how I used to behave,
Right.
you know, that's what this journey's all about, and I've realized that it's nice to lose, but you know, the scale is just a number.
Right.
It's how you feel.
It's a measuring tool.
Exactly.
It's just
I mean,
a measuring
you know,
tool of the end game. You know, it's just a way to keep track. It's not even. It's irrelevant, right? It's just a way to keep track.
Yeah. And now I'm not saying ignore it.
Right.
You know, still weigh in. You know, so that's what I've been doing. So then it's, you know, I think the main thing is, it might take a while to get to where you want to be physically, but mentally it just takes that moment and that light to you know, that switch to flip.
Right.
And you know, you've talked about your visions of success, and you've talked about how you figure out that's what you want, and you go for it, and you manifest that vision, that end game, that goal. And I think that's you know, part of this journey is, you know, figuring out what you want and how to get there, and that's what we're doing. So I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to do our thing. So awesome.
Right, bro.
Thank you, buddy. I'm proud of you too. You hear the music? We'll be back with your next segment.
Elliott, Chubby Checker, the Fat Boys, Carney Wilson too, Fats Domino, Minute Man, D-Boom, yeah.
Hey, Fat Talkers, we're back, and we're want to introduce our next segment, which is our interview this week in our season finale with Anthony Khosravi. I call him Kaz. I've known him for a number of years, professionally, and then also personally. He's an awesome guy, and he's going to talk about his weight loss journey, And the what you're about to hear and see is a part of the full interview. You can see the full interview on iTunes, or you can hear the full interview on our iTunes upload here pretty soon. So here's our interview with Anthony Khosravi. Stay tuned.
Frank makes a noise. Franklin Aretha. Where did you go? Hey, Fat Talkers, this is Chuck Hernandez here, and I'm here with my guest. His name is Anthony Khosravi. He is a PhD candidate. He works in education. I've known him personally and professionally for about 12 or 13 years. What is your history with your weight? What does that look like for you?
So as long as I can remember, I've always been a large child. All the earliest pictures that show me growing up, I already have a little belly. I'm a big guy with chubby cheeks. I'm the cute little chubby kid that everyone likes to laugh at when he starts running. Because there's a lot of jiggle going on in every step and move. But so it's my mom's real big. All my uncles and family members. So everyone was either obese in terms of the technical term or very obese. So severely obese, or whatever the maximum grade of obesity is clinically. And it's always been a part of my life. It was a normal state, if you will, with regards to being overweight. Yeah. The idea was that it was either cry about my situation or laugh at it. And I've always used a sense of humor as a way to cope with anything with regards to awkwardness and or tense situations, because to me it's better than anger and or depression. And so, I've tried it all. I believe that I showed some instances in which my willpower was weakened at times, and others where flat out I don't think that people realize. Well, okay, I'm sorry. People that have never struggled with weight issues don't realize how difficult it really is. And so I've heard people, lay claim to the fact is, well, you just got to want it. I have always wanted to not have to worry about what I put in my body. And it wasn't until I realized that this isn't going to happen on my own. I'm not going to be able to. I had reached a point, a plateau, if you will, really a valley in terms of understanding that at my best, counting calories, eating, being hungry at times, but forcing myself to understand that I had eaten my calorie levels for that day. The idea was that even at that, I still was not losing the weight that I wanted to make any kind of progression. And so then it finally led to the fact, for the sake of my health, I had high blood pressure, I had diabetes at 485. And so then the idea was, I needed to do something a little more severe and have bariatric surgery. I had what was called a mini bypass surgery.
Where did you do it? How much did it cost you? What were the circumstances? Were you scared?
Sure. So my doctor had been telling me for a while to take it into consideration. I had a lap band surgery years ago, probably about 10 years ago now.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can.
Okay.
So, at some point, I had gone through a few different diet programs and it didn't really work. Someone had suggested a lap band procedure. I went and saw a bariatric clinic. And, for no matter what people tell you, The medical profession is still in the business of sales. And so, the idea is that these procedures with regards to weight are very profitable. And so that leads them to display and or provide information with regards to procedures in such a way that it is enhanced and enticed a little more than its actual effectiveness. And I say that because, I remember walking into a clinic and watching this video, and there was a few other people there that were considering the surgery, and there were these claims with regards to being able to suppress your appetite and being able to help you limit the amount of food that gives you the sensation of fullness. And so while all of that is being told to you, there's still these disclaimers, that I think they have to put in there, but they're real light in terms of, with an adequate diet and with moderate exercise, you can use this particular procedure to kind of help you out. And so I think that the idea with regards to, where I thought this was going to help and or how I thought it was going to help, seemed real positive to me. And so I went through with the surgery. And so, I invested, I think at the time it was about $15,000 to go through with the surgery. My insurance didn't cover any of it. So I had to come up with that money on my own. And, I decided that, it was an investment. It was an investment into my health. And this was going to really help me get off the ground. In order to prep for surgery, you have to go through this pre-surgery bariatric plan where I'm taking shakes and meal supplements. And so, I drop 30 or 40 pounds in about a month before my surgery. And immediately after the surgery, I never really felt any difference. The band itself did help with limiting food intake, so you could only take in a certain amount of food, but it didn't help out with the hunger like they said it would. And so then the idea is 2 hours later, you still feel hungry. And so then you eat again, and then you eat again, and then you eat again. And eventually what is happening is your stomach is adjusting to the band. And so, our bodies are pretty miraculous. They have a way of adjusting to, ensure that, when the body senses that you're a 400-pound animal, it knows that you need so much nutrients to support that. So it starts to modify itself. And so I found that as the time progressed, I could not seem to, the suppression and the lack of hunger continued to diminish. And so, they would continue to tighten this band and restrict, but it would not help me the way that the Promised Land video seemed to divulge in the very beginning. So I went to a bariatric clinic that specialized in bypass. I had heard about all the data with regards to how long gastric bypass had been around and how effective it was. And around this time, the medical profession is saying, lap band didn't work. Appreciate that. And so, that was awesome. But there's these, there was a lot of data now with regards to, gastric bypass and the percentage of patients who continue losing weight and their success rates, and they were much higher than the lap band. And so, I said, well, we've done everything else. The problem was that my particular insurance carrier was not going to pay for the surgery, and the surgery was going to cost me about $28,000, and so I was going to have to come up with that out of pocket. And so then, thankfully, I ran into somebody that had gotten the procedure done in Mexico, and so I had inquired about it, and she had told me that her mother had went through it a few years ago, and that she recently had went through it. And so, I just talked to her. We got the name of the clinic. I mentioned it to my wife. Immediately my wife looked into their website and their clinic and their testimonials, and us knowing somebody that went through it was a big benefit to it. Yeah. And so immediately we just started talking to the consultant from the clinic there, and they explained the entire program to us. I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, and this was in Tijuana, Mexico. And
what was the cost difference?
This cost was $6,500. As far as going to another country to receive medical services, was a pretty enjoyable experience. I mean, it is Mexico, right? But it's not. I think it's not what some people might think with regards to. I mean, it was a hospital. They did have walls and floors, right? It wasn't dirt or anything.
Sure.
And medical equipment is pretty standard, right? So, it's not like I was getting an IV from an upside down milk jug.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, everything was sterile. I mean, it was same packaging that you would get here. And yeah, so I flew in it was a Thursday morning in October. I flew into San Diego, me and my wife. They picked us up from the airport, took us to across the border into Tijuana, and went straight to the hospital there. As soon as we got there, the surgeon came and met with us and greeted himself, and the nursing staff came, and we were waiting for our room to check in, and it was a real pleasant experience. The bedside manner in Mexico reflects that of the culture in terms of just very hospitable people. The experience was great. We got in, head straight to the clinic, and within a couple of hours that I was in Mexico, I was heading into surgery. And so they took just enough time to draw some blood, get some vitals, and say, yeah, let's go. And so that night, I wake up, and I don't know if you've ever had surgery of any time, but when they put you out, you wake up as if it's 1 second later.
Sure. And
it didn't happen,
Sure.
And then you start slowly but surely realizing that for some reason my throat feels like someone has stabbed me into it, but it's just because they tube you.
Sure.
Right, to ensure that you're still breathing throughout the entire process. And so short of that was the greatest discomfort when I came out. That night, as soon as I was up, they gave me some ice chips, and they said, okay, well, start walking. And the idea was to get as much exercise and movement as possible to still continue the blood flow in your system, and it was going to boost the healing process.
Sure.
And everything was done endoscopic, and so small little incisions. I stayed in the hospital for another 2 nights just for them to continue to put fluids in me, continue to observe me. Then they put us up in a hotel there and on the Mexican side. And then the next morning, this was Sunday morning, we were flying back to San Antonio from San Diego. So if I'm giving any advice to anybody, which I never feel like I'm in the category to give advice, but if all I can do is share my personal experience with regards to where I have come from, and that, and having the support of my wife and her encouraging me along this process. But it is to say that no matter where you're at, if you've decided I'm just gonna cut out some starches in my diet, or you're thinking about, moving drastically and getting surgery done. The idea is make sure that you are not being talked into something. I think that's the worst. I think people promising other people results, or go do it. It worked for me.
Yeah.
That's a false logic of association, right?
Sure.
They call them logical fallacies. Well, I was raised, by being
exactly.
whipped every day, so I'm gonna, whip my kid every day. That's not necessarily. Maybe you did need a whipping, but maybe your kid doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I think those particular fallacies are what deter people from being successful if finding something that works for them.
Yeah.
And so I in no way have become an advocate for bariatric surgery. I don't encourage anybody to head to Mexico and get bariatric surgery. But what I do think that's important is you figure out what you want, and you figure out if what you're fighting is something physical, or it's something emotional, and or psychological. And to be quite frank with you, being a person of faith, I think that some people are also struggling on a spiritual way. When you have a void in your life, regardless of what that void is, the reason why you're listening to this, and the reason even why we're talking about this, is because food has become the filling, and it's what we're trying to put inside this, whatever that void is. Even when I came to the founding knowledge of my faith and believing in Jesus Christ, man, it was an eye opener for me to realize, how I'd been living my life and the decisions I was making and stuff like that. And yet the concept of how I was eating was still not something that was introduced to my faith and my relationship with Christ. And so as I started moving through these processes, I was questioning it, right? I'm thinking to myself, God, you made this body, and yet I'm going to go and have it cut up and rearranged. And so then after a while, it's just, I think what is beautiful about any relationship that we have with God is that the Father always only wants the best for their child. And, for those who have known for, their child to make a mistake or whatever, you never want them to be held to that mistake for the rest of their life. And so despite the downward trend that I took my body into, I think that the Lord provided an opportunity for me to turn it around. And so I'm still in that process. I'm much more active now. I actually have the energy to be able to cook at home, and so we eat a lot more at home.
Can you give us the name of the company that you went with?
Yeah, so the company is called Ponce Bariatrics. It's PONCE. He's located in Tijuana, Mexico. My particular surgeon was Dr. Favar, and he was great. I mean, the entire staff was fantastic. They offer quite a few services with regards to the bariatric profession in terms of lifts and skin reductions and the bypasses and all kinds of stuff. And so for anybody that feels that the financial burden of these surgeries is truly what is holding you back, then I can, from my own experience, recommend them. I thought they were extremely professional. They're very concerned with your well-being and your safety, and so that's great. But again, just to reiterate, I would never advise it as a easy form in any way, shape, or form. At Ponce Bariatrics out of Tijuana, Mexico,
Nice.
I think they did me a great service, and I appreciated my experience with them.
That's awesome.
Hey, Fat Talkers! All right, we're back from our interview with Anthony Khosravi, and I want to say that I'm real proud of him for making the decision to change, to improve himself. You know, he was at a point where he was having some health issues, and you know, he had attempted to change his lifestyle before, but decided to go and have this surgery. And a lot of people would say, well, you know, that's just too extreme for them. But I think what comes across in this interview and what his experience is that is very similar to ours in the sense that you just get to a point where you're done, you know, with what you've been doing,
Right.
and you make a change.
Right.
It's a pretty drastic change to have surgery,
Yeah.
to remove a part of your, you know, to rearrange things.
It's scary.
It's scary,
It's
yeah.
very scary,
And but what's the alternative?
Right.
To continue to do what you were doing and keel over and die,
Right.
or whatever, you know, the end result of that is.
It'd be a lot more miserable.
It's and you know, I gotta say, although we don't, we as he says in the interview, you know, we would never be an advocate for doing that, but more of an advocate for figuring out what's for your, you know, what's it going to take
Right.
to change and help you.
Right.
And for some people, you know, it's going to require, you know, exhausting, you know, avenues that maybe, you know,
Right.
are scary or
Right.
whatever. I will say, personally speaking, that when he was investigating this surgery, I had also took an interest as well, because I was kind of feeling the same, that, you know, I needed to do something
Right.
drastic.
Right.
And I, you know, I said to myself that if I don't make any successful gains or losses, really, with my diet, that I would go in December and I would go and do the surgery in Mexico and go through that. As crazy and as scary as it sounded,
Yeah.
I didn't want to allow things to just happen. I wanted to impact myself in a positive way.
Right.
And you know, fortunately enough, I made some losses, you know, and made some progress to where I felt like, you know what, you know, I can continue to pursue this.
Right.
But really, I think the bottom line is figuring it out, whatever it is that you're doing, you know, whatever you have to do. And so I'm thankful that we're thankful that he was able to talk about his experiences, because, you know, I mean, if that's what it takes, you know, I mean, that's what it takes.
Well,
you know
I think
what mean?
we've talked about this more than once, is that everybody's journey is different.
Mhm.
There's no set rule. I mean, that's why there's so many diets and so many
Yeah.
fads, because it works for some people and it doesn't work for other people. Thank you. Is that applause?
That was, yeah, it was a
Okay,
plus.
thank you.
And a
No.
nap. Yeah.
No, but I think it's definitely it's an individual journey as
Yeah.
far as like what you have to do.
Sure.
There's nothing that works for everybody.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, like, I do have to deny myself, because I
Yeah.
have one of those personalities where, like, I don't smoke and drink,
Sure.
not because I don't like the way it feels,
Yeah.
not the way, you know,
Sure.
it's don't because I do it to the extreme.
Sure.
So I'd rather deny myself than I will overindulge.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so that's just the way I know that about
Yeah.
myself. So I have to, like, that's why I cut out sodas for myself, because I know I can't stop drinking them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I rather stop.
Yeah.
And you know, so it's every journey is different for everybody,
Yeah.
and there's no right way to do it. The right way is what works for you,
Yeah. Totally.
right? I mean, and he felt that's what he had to do, and he was
Yeah.
fortunately for him, it works.
Yeah.
It's worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It's-
and
it's
you made your
working for-
decision
Mhm.
that, you know what, I'm gonna do it my way, and
Yeah.
it's worked out, bro. You
Yeah.
lost a lot of weight, and
Yeah.
we're still going.
Yeah. We're
It
still
ain't
going.
over. The journey's never over,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's and that is, you know, part of it is also realizing that, you know, it's not, there is no magic pill.
Right.
There is no system.
Right.
The system is the fight.
Right.
The system is the struggle. The
Right.
system is just
Right.
You know, now, I mean, so that's it. I mean, you got to figure it out. So
figure it out.
we want to thank you guys for tuning in. That was our interview segment with Anthony Khosravi, and we're gonna come back with our final segment of the season. Stay tuned, everybody.
Goodbye.
You hear the music.
Goodbye. Or wait, come back.
Come back in a minute. Hey, Fat Talkers! All right, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around. This is our last segment of the season, and so
We're talking about the tenant.
the last tenant that is a part of our Manifatso, our you know what we live by, is very simple. It's stay woke, and so stay woke is going to mean different things for different people,
right.
but I want to say that stay woke is that switch flipping, the mental change, that you decide, I'm not going back to what I
Right.
used to do, what I used
Right.
to, how I used to act, whatever.
Right.
And so, it's definitely hard to stay woke all the time. Initially, my idea was, well, what happens if you make the best decisions all the time? And I have not had a chance to, or I'm sorry, I misspoke. I have not been able to execute that. But by trying to live by that, I've done way better than I used to.
Right.
So even when you're trying to do your, where everything is perfect,
Right.
nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
That's what I've come to realize is even if that's what you set out to do, you can do pretty damn good. And there have been moments where there's perfection, but really what I've done is my best.
Right.
And that's what I'm okay with living with.
Right.
What is stay woke for you?
I mean, pretty much same thing. It's just being aware of the decisions you're making with your life.
Sure.
In general, not even talking about just about being healthy and weight
Sure.
loss. We're talking about just in general. Being aware that you say this all the time that we're all gonna die.
Sure.
We're just meat bags, right?
Yeah, we're dead meat.
We're dead meat.
Yeah.
We're gonna die.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about
Yeah.
it. So why not make the best, or at least try to make your best
Sure.
life, right? And that, for a lot of people, I think your health, that's all you got, right? Like without your health, you got
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it starts there, and I think it trickles into everything else.
Sure.
And it's being aware. It's knowing that what I put into my mouth and my body is gonna show up later.
Sure.
And so it's making that decision to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're gonna stumble, you're gonna trip, you're gonna fall.
Sure.
As long as you get back up and keep going in the direction you want to go, you're gonna get there eventually.
Sure.
Even people, I think a lot of times people, they think, okay, my goal is 200 pounds, right? I want to get down to
Sure,
200
sure.
pounds, I'll be in great shape. But to stay there
Yeah.
takes the same amount of effort.
Yeah.
You get down to your goal weight, it's not
Yeah.
like, and I go back to my old habits. You
Yeah.
have to stay
Yeah.
awake
Yeah.
so that you stay there.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's interesting that you brought that up, because one of the things that I've come to understand in research is that if you have when you lose weight, your metabolic composition, right, your metabolism is different than someone who's the same weight. And what I've come to realize is, if you have two people that are 200 pounds, one of them has been 200 pounds for the last 15 years.
Right.
The other's 200 pounds because they've just lost 50 pounds.
Right.
The person who lost the 50 pounds, their body requires less calories than the person who has been at that weight. And so when you think about that, it's like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is I gotta give up the things that I love to get to where I'm going.
Yeah.
When I get there, I
still-
still
Like, and it's almost like, man, that's why I think people get discouraged.
Yeah,
because it's
man.
like such a tough fucking
yeah,
thing.
it's
Right.
and that's the thing is, so I may have only lost a couple pounds from last time we weighed in, which it hasn't been a week. It's been over a week because we've been busy and
Right,
this,
right.
that, and the other. But I'm okay with that. More so because I think that it's just one of those things where I've come to realize that this is not easy.
No.
This is definitely not.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, we joke and we, you know, but man, it's a struggle every day.
It's not
You
easy.
wake up and you know, when I mean, it's just that's just a part of that's just a part of you know, my existence, part of your existence. You know, not living a life where you never have to worry about your weight or whatever. You know that. There are people walking around that have never thought about that. Yeah.
There's people that's just the
versus you wake up and you're thinking
the
about
first thing
tacos. You know,
the first thing you think about.
Dude, yeah.
Right. No,
exactly.
Dude, I think about what I want to eat all day.
Man,
That's
it's
all
brutal.
I think about. Yeah.
And so I'm eating chicken soup. You know, whereas you know 10 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever, you know, eating chicken fried steak at 11 at night.
Right.
And then going to sleep and waking up in the night. You know.
Yeah.
Palpitating or whatever, but you know, so
but
you know,
what? I think a lot of people maybe they don't realize that a lot of people are that way. Like like we've talked about like I drive through sneaking a burger before I get home. Like that's a real
disorder.
Yeah,
it's addiction.
It's
a
an addiction,
disorder.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a struggle. And it's something that it's shame. Yeah, it's not. You're not proud of it.
Sure.
But it's just learning how to deal with it and learning how to get around it.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
How
are you going to cope? Yeah, how are you going to do it? Yeah.
Right.
And so you know, that to segue into the next part of this conversation is, so if understanding that it's just going to be tough.
Right.
It's not easy.
No.
Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
But fucking six packs.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is it can be done, right? It can you can, and for me, I think more than anything, it's like, you know what, I feel so much better, and I feel, you know, I'm excited about throwing everything I've got at this process.
Right.
And last night I went to a shamanic breathing class. And it had been a couple weeks. There had been a couple sessions that were offered since the last time I went, and my wife or I were working, so couldn't go to it.
Right.
And on my way to it last night, I was thinking to myself, man, is this really for me? Is this really impacting me positively? Because I'm a skeptic.
Right.
I'm as skeptic as the next person. You know, I'm thinking, man, am I really gonna spend this chunk of time?
Right.
Doing this when I could be doing other things productive or just lounging or
Right,
whatever,
right?
And so I got there and you know I did everything that I normally do, and what I realized is that class, right, this moment or this period of time where I poured myself into trying to meditate and improve myself and just connect with the things, you know, that I want to connect with, and grow spiritually, that is time well spent, because I'm investing in myself and I'm trying to help myself, and what I realize is that the amount of time you spend doing that, or any meditation or any exercise or anything you do, right, to improve yourself, it might be the same workout that you're doing, but every time you do it, every time I show up at that class, I'm different.
Right.
And that's what I've come to realize, because every experience I've had there is different. And the other experiences I've had, I was just completely wiped out physically. At the end of yesterday's session, I was so amped up about getting out of the class and applying myself, and really just starting to kick some ass, really. Because for whatever reason, it hit me different. It came at me different. I took this experience differently. And now I'm all amped up about going out and applying myself.
Right.
And so in my breath work yesterday, one of the things that came to me and I was thinking about, because that's all it is you know, it's meditation. You know, it's a chance to clear your mind and move forward and release things, whatever. Is realizing that that it's okay to be afraid.
Right.
that fear is a part of life.
Mm-hmm. It's a big part.
And that's the thing is facing those fears, going into that business meeting or going into this, and not shying away from the things that are scary.
Right.
Because as you go through them, you come out the other side more rigid, more better for it, and that sort of thing.
Right.
And so it made me think of this book that my wife gave me for Christmas, and it's called Catching the Big Fish, and it's about it's written by David Lynch, the award-winning director, and the concept to summarize is it's going to require, in order to catch the big fish, right? And the big fish is different for everybody, right? In order to catch that big fish, right, you have got to go to places that you've never been. You have got to push yourself to a place you've never been, and that's scary.
Yeah.
And the idea is I realized last night that I'm the big fish for myself. Getting healthy is my big fish. I've got to reel my best self in and land it. And everything else will fall into place.
Absolutely.
More than anything, that's what I've realized in this, because, all the time we spend and energy and we're having a good time, this and that. But really, at the heart of what we're doing is trying to be the best version of ourselves. And so catching the big fish for me right now is reeling myself in and being the best version of myself.
I like that.
Your big fish was your chocolate shop. Your big fish was reffing. Your big fish are the ventures that you haven't done yet, and it changes, right? Your big fish changes as time goes on, and it's it's okay, to accept the fact that fear is going to be a part of that journey. But more than anything, realizing that in order to get there, for him, he started doing transcendental meditation, right? And so he spends every day doing a certain amount of time doing it, and it unlocks creativity, it unlocks potential, this and that, and so that's the idea, is catching the big fish. So a couple things that are related to that are, because this is how funny how the universe works. So one of the leaders of the shamanic breathwork is my friend Odie, who we interviewed a couple episodes ago, and he had been texting me saying, "Hey, I've got a little something for you, whatever. And next time I see you, I'll give it to you." And I didn't think anything of it. We're buddies, and so it wasn't. I wasn't thinking that it was going to affect me like this. But it's funny. The session ends yesterday, and I go up to him, say goodbye, whatever. And he says, "Oh, let me give you that thing." And so he comes over, and we have been talking about this activity, for a while, because he's an outdoorsy type person, and I'm somewhat whatever. And he hands me this little package, and it's a game, it's a fishing game.
Oh wow!
One of those little handheld, fishing games. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, whatever." I said, "Well, we gotta go fishing, at a regular little San Antonio River, whatever, bass fishing, whatever." And then, like, when I walked away, I went over to Lisa, who's the leader of the group, and when we had our breakout sessions, I had actually had a conversation with her about catching the big fish, and I went over to her and I was like, "Hey, did you know what Odie gave me, or what he had bought for me?" And she said no, and I said, I held it up, and she was like, "That's interesting, because it was. I mean, it's maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's not, maybe it's the universe, But to me, when I realized, damn, I was just talking about that. I was just talking about catching the big fish, and I get this dang thing. It's funny.
That is funny.
But when you start to wake up to things, the universe kind of has signs, and
that's what it takes right there. It's when you put your wants out there, that those things are always there.
Sure.
But if you're not receptive to it, putting it out there, it's not going to bounce back. You're not going to see those opportunities that present itself. That's exactly what it is. So it's not coincidence.
I don't think so.
It's not. It's universe manifesting for you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome, man. That's cool.
One of the other things I want to say about this is, so one of the things that David Lynch talks about in this book, Catching the Big Fish, is he says, you know what's interesting is movies that are just classics, just great movies.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's something about movies that are magical because the length of the movie is the same.
Yeah.
The frames that are the same.
Right.
The dialogue's the same. Everything's the same.
Right.
But when you see it at a different time of your life, it impacts you differently.
Right.
And that's the thing is I never really put a finger on that, but I think everybody's aware of this. When you see a movie and it hits you differently, it's because you're different.
Right.
And you're coming, your perspective is different, you know. You're older, maybe as a parent, or, you know, gone through some grief. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
And so to go back to one of the things that is very influential from the shamanic reading classes, they talk about a spiral path in life versus a linear path.
Right.
And the linear path is what we believe to be, you know, our path.
Right.
And that you've got goals and you go get them and you never look back, this and that, right? But the spiral path is this concept, and I'm taking it this way, is this concept that there are things that reoccur, right? Mm-hmm. There are things that you have to deal with again, and more so this morning I realized that is our daily life. Mm-hmm. Every day when you go to work, you're gonna pass that taco, that taqueria or whatever, or you're gonna pass Whataburger, or you're gonna pass, and you know what? If you're different, then you're not gonna stop. Right. If you've made that, you know what I'm saying? So the spiral path is, you know what? These things are gonna come up. Loss is gonna come up. Heartache's gonna come up. Joy and all these things. But if you're different and you're more adept to dealing with it, then that's the growth. That's what you're, you know, and so and so, you know, without getting too philosophical, I mean, I totally feel like the next time that cake is around, I'm not going to eat it. Next time that poor choice is around, I'm not going to take it because I'm different now. And so, you know, I plan on, you know, every day I thank the universe for another day. And you know, I know that this journey is something that I'm real proud of, and I'm real happy, and quite honestly, I haven't even gotten to halfway of where I want to be, and that's scary, but
you it's like the half full or half empty.
Sure.
And you're half full, bro. Like
I'm almost
you're almost half full.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? That's I mean, yeah, you've lost weight, but you gained your health.
Yeah, I feel it.
So
I definitely feel it. And so I think that the question that we're dealing with every day is how will we deal with those situations as they arrive moving forward, because we know it's going to be tough. It's scary, you know, but you know, I think we're a little bit tougher.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. We've made some great strides. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you too, and I'm thankful.
Yes, thank you.
And
thanks for including me in this thing.
It's awesome, and thanks to you guys that are paying attention,
thank you.
that care, you know, to even watch or like or follow or whatever.
Right.
We are going to have a few weeks where we don't produce the podcast. But we will come back with season 2 in a few weeks. We will still continue to post on social media.
Yep.
And
we might throw some clips up with
exactly.
Yeah,
we've got
fun
some
stuff,
little things, but we've got a lot of things planned for season 2. But most importantly, getting closer to our goals. So,
absolutely.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
You hear the music?
It's there again.
Yeah.
Last
kiss.
Yeah. Good job.
Dude.
Thank you. Oops, sorry.
No, it's good. Dude, can you believe that?
Fuck you, diabetes!
I'll be back.
fuck up. Simon says, get the fuck up. Throw your hands in the sky. Weezer's in the back.
Oh, sorry,
He's not even recording.
Do that one more time. Eddie Mercury. That's fine. Who cares? Here we go. That's good. I like it. All right, here we go. Just do that shit one more time. Do tight and then back up and then back in. Yeah, fuck it. Here we go. Wait. Here we go. Thanks, Eddie Mercury.
That wasn't on purpose.
No, he needs to be face down.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Your legs have to. Yeah. Exactly. Ah! That's perfect. Yeah. Tell me when you're rolling. Ah!